for you and me a wonderful life. Look around and see the beauty of the sky. Here for you and me a wonderful life. No need to hide and fight. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. No need to laugh and cry. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. Here I go, out to sea again. The sunshine feels in my hair. Dreams hang in the air. Gold in the sky, and in my blue eye. You know it feels unfair. There's magic everywhere. No need to hide.
Right, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and all of that kind of wonderful jazz. Let's have it. Let's have it indeed. How's everyone doing? It's been a bit of a while. I was just streaming in the Paragon group, but we went into a bit more detail than we're going to go into right here. But I realised I haven't done a public stream this week, so I'm going to spend the next half hour doing a public stream. And it's going to be short, sharp, and sweet, like me. Although, I'm not really that short, I'm not really that sharp, and only some days I'm sweet. But anyway, let's shout out to Bonkbot for sponsoring the stream. They are absolute legends. The Bonkbot product is amazing, genuinely insane, and when I'm allowed to stream it to you all, I will be streaming a bit of Degeneracy at the end of the stream. Is this live or a replay? What about? I used to try to stream on a Friday. I know it's a bit wild, isn't it? A bit controversial. But I thought, you know, emergency Bitcoin stream, mouth wide open, all that kind of wonderful stuff. But yeah, let's rock and roll. So yeah, sign up to Bombot. They've got some amazing stuff coming, and I think next week, actually it's probably going to be the week after because I'm in New York for a week. But if it's not next week, it'll be the week after. We will be live trading on Bonkbot, and we will be hyper gambling some Solanas on some low cap shitters. And they've got some really cool stuff coming, which I'm not allowed to talk about, but it's stuff that means you will be able to see the market from my perspective, kind of thing, and how I ape shitters. So I'll just leave it there. Smarter ones of you can work stuff out. But yes, we will be doing some fun stuff on the old Bonkbot. It is genuinely amazing what they're doing. So yeah, is this the end? Is it over? Yada yada yada. What does chat think? Let's ask you guys first. Is this sell off the be all and end all? Is it GG, job done, local trends reset, yada yada yada? How do you all feel? Do you feel emotionally devastated and crushed? What's the story? Well, not liking VPNs, okay. Do you do Twitch streams in future? You can play it in background on mobile. Ah, okay, I can stream to both. Get back above all-time high with a flash, you don't think? You don't think in general, or you just don't think? I got licked trying to long sell? My brother. Dial down the leverage, dial down the leverage. You don't need to make money yesterday. You know, over like 2 minutes. Just a small cough, higher for longer. I think depends on if yes, am I correct? Lower high or not? Yeah, let's you need to learn, yeah. XRP thoughts, you're long. We'll go on to XRP. Let's go to Bitcoin first. So, you know, we've compounded Bitcoin longs. The Bitcoin long from the old stream was here, and obviously as soon as I fucking cloud tweet about it, we get a tariff jump. You know, it's still structurally very appealing. I literally said on my stream, my last stream, that this is the exact kind of setup I want to see, you know, pull back into essentially trend, and, you know, dips are still for buying. You know, the market's priced this in my opinion. Like this sell-off here, it's a pretty strong reaction. Like, if we reject from local trend now, okay, then it's probably going to continue lower. But, like, looking at it, it's priced in pretty instantly. This is like a nice rotational trade from my perspective. Nothing has changed high time frame. It's still good to run to the highs, yada, 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 right? Like, do you want to sell everything here because of the tariff announcement? I don't know, it's completely up to you. For me, like, no, I'm still going to maintain, you know, structural bullishness as long as the structure is bullish. If we come down and sell off and do something like that, you know, form lower high, different story. If we lose rotational strength on altcoins, again, different story. But, you know, for the most part, it's kind of okay. So, is this, you know, the end of it all, and is this the start of a downtrend? Well, clearly not yet. Like, for now, I'm just going to maintain bullish, like, maintain my bullish stance, and let things develop a bit. You know, if we hit here, the amount of clout that I'm going to claim on Twitter is absolutely unbearable. I'm going to be an absolute clout demon with this, so everyone who helps me with that will obviously get a Bitcoin. So, yeah. Is the current pullback scaring you? No. But then I'm not using leverage, I'm not going ape on things, I'm not, you know, I'm not even that deep in terms of like my risk on positioning. You know, we absolutely nailed a Fartcoin trade in the group. So, and that was with actually a much wider stop than I kind of anticipated, to be honest. And I got stopped out live on stream. But interestingly, you know, I'll take you through this actually, because it's quite an interesting concept and thought process. So we have the fixed volume profile on here purely because, you know, it's just showing that this range, this range and previous consolidation, blah blah blah. But the long was down here anyway. It was I think it was Monday morning, in fact, that we took it somewhere back here. But either way, I posted it on Twitter and cloud tweeted it a couple of times. Move this across and just do all that. What we were actually talking about is, like, firstly the initial trade entry down here. You know, nice high time frame pivot. Going into it structurally solid in terms of fresh higher lows. Bosh, bosh, bosh. We know Fartcoin's been really strong generally because it's, you know, certainly one of the better memes for the last however many months that we've been looking at in terms of like the high time frame rotation, right? So like Mudang, oh, what's going on? Come on, Charlie, you can pick this up. So Mudang, Bert, which had a fucking massive sell-off, by the way. So, yeah. Revert to mean bounce. I can go to infinity, please. Yeah, Fartcoin's done really well. Is my point, and it's been high up there in terms of liquidity. It's definitely been, you know, interesting to trade on an intraday basis, and yeah, should be like that really. It's one of the best performers, you know, in the market in general. Very good liquidity, yada yada yada. New coin, best coin, new shiny shit, all that stuff that I preach. So, you know, structurally, it's a coin that I want to look at. Sorry, I don't know why people are fucking messaging me. I thought I'd turn the shit off. So, looking for an entry into momentum, this was it. You know, this was the one to take, and this was the one to hold. And then, you know, I was literally saying on stream, probably about an hour or so ago, whenever it was, that, you know, we're starting to get the signs of weakness and momentum. Now, obviously, the chart didn't know that Trump was about to say his tariff bullshit, that you know, things were going to change and all that kind of stuff. But principally, the same thing applies as like a lesson just for, you know, in general and profit taking and trends and all that kind of stuff, which again I just did a massive stream on, so I'm not going to go into massive detail. But point being, you have to take profits at some point if you actually want to make money trading. And so I ended up with a stop loss here, and essentially I actually had a couple of orders basically going down around in this area, and basically got stopped out, right? So I closed it for a nice profit, got whipsawed by this, not a problem, shit happens. If it now goes to infinity, absolutely fine. But structurally, looking at this, looking at Fartcoin right now, like, we've almost got a new fresh trade, because let me just get a fresh Fartcoin chart up, because you can never have enough Fartcoin charts. Which one's this? This is Bybit, so let's go for Bybit. Let's go with this. Like, what's happened here? Is anyone just looking at a completely naked chart? What's happened? Any guesses? I compared my slalom longs in this dip. Shows to long XRP because the Bitcoin pairs are range low. Okay, perfect. We'll come on to XRP because you have been very patient with that. I just wanted to talk about Fartcoin for like 2 minutes. Stops taken? Yeah? Too long Moonpig is the important question? No, absolutely not, brother. I don't even know what Moonpig is. Liquidity sweep, yeah. So, I mean, the way that I look at it is it's a range reclaim, right? Bosh. This is a range, like over here, this consolidation. And if we want, trend continuation, it probably looks better on lower time frame actually. But if we want trend continuation from here, this isn't a bad place to kind of take on some risk. On the assumption that, let's go to low time frame. Gosh. We're actually getting some form of, wow, Burt is fucking wild, man. The MM on Burt is, like, this is not financial advice. Everything on this is for educational purposes only. But I am truly hoping that one day I wake up and Burt is just 100x, like that massive move, almost a year ago now. But yeah, Fartcoin, very, very strong, very, very good beta. Are they CRV and a couple of others outperforming it, and obviously Burt outperforming it, but like I said, the pullback on Burt was fucking savage. So yeah, it's got relative strength, it's got a decent structure in terms of a range. Like, this is where we start going like this and going, okay, well, I want to be long this for the next leg. I want to be making sure that, I have some kind of Fartcoin exposure. Playing this for a rotation, I'd probably put a hard stop there if I wasn't around to actively manage, but the reality is, if you can do something like this, and just assume that the market is kind of like instantly priced in the tariff news, on the assumption that obviously, TARDFI and all that kind of don't shit the bed, but it's a reasonable place to take a kind of continuation trade in line with the higher time frame trend. Oh shit, yeah, I was going to do that. Higher time frame trend is up. This is a pullback. It's been up only for a while. We need to find areas where this, this makes sense. Are we going to get another strong sell-off here? Completely unlikely, right? Completely unlikely. In my opinion. Like, yeah, okay, we might go down and do this. But, this is a pretty decent kind of concept of, we've had a range built up. We tried to deviate from the range and break out and do the next leg up. We failed. We came back in it. We actually came back in it structurally really, really quickly. And now we've reclaimed it. And when we reclaim a range, we assume it's bullish. When we deviate back into it, we assume it's short-term bearish, right? But on the higher time frame, we know that everything's going up and to the right. That is the higher time frame trend for now. So yeah, here's the trade. I look forward to putting another 18-hour trade on Twitter in like a couple of weeks' time. Is my point. So if you take it, obviously, if you took it, you can manage it yourself. So getting bought up real quick. Yeah, exactly. Like these are the rotations that you kind of live for, right? Like when we were watching it live, it was like I was like here, I think it was. And I was like, oh, this is getting a bit scary. There was not a lot of buying, and then obviously it took a huge sell-off to be able to actually Like, I look for changes in the structure, right? I don't want to touch something like this. That's fucking horrific. But when it starts doing this, like, that's when I can get involved for a rotation. And my invalidation is essentially this low. But if you do that too quickly, you end up just like, I'm long here, I'm long here, I'm long here, I'm long here. You know, it has to materially change. So yeah, here you go. And when this goes above there, you've kind of got to just assume that that's the breakout. And if it comes back in my opinion, you take profits at break even. Yeah. Stop break even now. Off we go. Bosh. Like, there you go. That's the kind of thought process. Like, I don't know, it might just be a little relief bounce, but one can hope not. One can hope it's kind of a $5. Yeah, exactly, $5. So yeah, if you can all just, I don't know, put like $1 billion into Fartcoin right now and make this happen, that'd be amazing. But obviously, not financial advice, blah blah blah. Music choice fire, excellent, excellent. Glad you're here for the DJing as well. But there you go. There's a ridiculous trade idea to start the stream. And to be honest with you, like, I've been mostly Bitcoin and Fartcoin focused, yeah? So, like, the Bitcoin focus is purely because, you know, it's around the highs and yada yada yada. It's not because I necessarily want to be, like, macro exposed to, like, pure Bitcoin, and I'm pure, like, living up to the Bitcoin Charlie name of have to be, you know, 100% Bitcoin. It's just because, well, if it does start trending, and it starts trending, you know, really, really well, then it's going to be absolutely incredible in terms of, like, the next leg. You know, we've broken out of, like, former all-time highs, and this is a pretty redonkulous trend in terms of strength, right? Pretty good. Pretty damn good. Like, I don't want to be fading this, at least not yet anyway. You know, there are times where I might fade this, but this looks like trend acceleration, right? It looks like we kind of just want to start going absolutely vertical. Your structure looks good, blah blah blah, and then a lot of other stuff like you know, ETH BTC and Sol BTC, etc. Just in my opinion, does not look as good. You know, and we covered actually one of the groups, Sol longs, but like ETH BTC hasn't really been showing signs of strength. Sol ETH not particularly great. Sol BTC not too bad, but you know, in my opinion, why go for, like, I'm playing both extreme. I'm playing like here's the meme. Like, here's memes, like, high risk, high volatility, generally lower liquidity. You know, you can get a 10% move in a day, you can get a 20% move in a day, blah blah blah, and you can get Bitcoin, which is the absolute, you know, peak liquidity and all that kind of stuff. Why would I bother with all this shit in the middle? There's so much shit in the middle that just doesn't move too much, that doesn't do as much in terms of volatility, in terms of you know, runs and moves and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just not as good. Why would I be playing with that when I can either play with fire, with the memes like Fartcoin, which is, you know, done exceptionally well and doing exceptionally well, or Bitcoin, which is, you know, hopefully set up to absolutely run. And the thing for me about Bitcoin is it also hedges you against the risk of this, right? So way back in like January time, we were looking at this, weren't we? We looked at this on stream, and look, this is a fucking beautiful pattern, man. I might tweet this out. That basically I thought after that run, Bitcoin dominance would run, and we talked about it over here, and we said, look, it's pretty much like up only. It's going to be up only, and it has been for a long time, right? And this is when the last couple of weeks, you know, we've had a bit of a decent run on Bitcoin, yada yada yada, but in the scenario that this actually just goes like that, because there is genuinely a huge run on Bitcoin itself, you know, for me, I have to have some Bitcoin exposure to almost hedge against the risk of altcoins being absolutely you know, cooked. Not that I think they will. I don't think it'll go that way, but in the scenario that it does, I need to be done. I need to be in it. You do hype? Yeah. So I've held hype for a long time. What the fuck is that? And you can kind of see my plans with hype now, right? So I actually bought hype here, about $17. It's over here somewhere. Held through the 50% drawdown, and now it's like 2 and a bit X up from my entry, which is great. But now, do I want to enter a fresh trade here? No. I kind of need to do the all-time high retest, consolidate, and off we go. Like, that's the next leg for me. You know, it's far too late in this trending move on hype for me to get excited about it. Is the short version. Yes, it might run here, but are you going to enter there? Like, fuck me, I can't enter there. I can't trade like that. You know, trading something like this when you've got, you know, a decent kind of hypothesis and invalidation in terms of consistent higher lows, yada yada yada, consistent highs, blah blah blah. Like, you've got a decent reason to like get long, build a position in here and go for the next leg. Up here, as it's trending, as it is literally just going vertical, like, that's really difficult for me, right? I kind of need that consolidation. I need something like this. I need, you know, either a breakout or just yeah, I'm happy to buy here and sell under here if this structure is lost. That is far more attractive to me than just like trying to jump into this. Yeah, like this now, even looking at this like in terms of like local price action, we just said that this like exact setup of a mean diagonal, everything kind of touching, nice, retesting it, retesting the underside of mean diagonal, you know, isn't great. I'm not saying it's just going to go like this, not at all. I'm not trying to do anything like that. I'm just trying to say, do I see a decent structural long trade from here? No, I don't. You know, that's my thought. My thought is this area is for taking profits, and that there's another trade. There's another trade probably here. Maybe not like that, but maybe as I drew it originally, it's something like this. Bosh. Should have watched my Nyan airdrop port. Should have sold. Yeah, so much stuff like that. Well, we're gonna do Sol. So we're gonna do Sol because someone asked, and then I've got 4 more minutes, and then I'm gonna go and I gotta leave. So it's a very short stream today. So for me, Solana, you can see all the notes here. Like, let's go high time frame. You know, we're basically at resistance here. Like, the next trade for me is up here, right? Again, similar to hype, it's not in this consolidation. If I just delete everything, so you've got, you know, no real noise. You know, we are basically at this, like, either there, wherever you want to draw it, but it's like local resistance. Like, I'm just not looking for longs, and we actually kind of went through my thought process in terms of where you'd be invalidated on this, and I did show a technique that I'm not going to show here because I'm just going to be a douchebag like that, and we're just going to manually draw it. But like, looking at this consolidation essentially, and like going, well, you know, I probably would have got debated by this, or at least considered selling or having stops here if I was like long from down here. You know, for me, why would I long this when I can long Fartcoin? It's the constant question, right? Just Fartcoin setup's better, it'll run for further, it'll be better. Why even like bother with Solana? You know, do I really think that Solana's going to run, break out of this high time frame range and go to new highs? Possibly, but if Solana does that, Fartcoin's going to 5x, right? So yeah. Got my top 3 trading rules: win, win, win. No, I'm joking. XRP BTC, it is at the lows of a local range, but that also means that is shite, because it means that there's very little relative strength, and I'm a big relative strength trader. In terms of like this, in terms of structure, like, it's not particularly attractive. It's not attractive. It's not like I really want to short this or anything like that. It's just like, meh. Again, why long this when you can long Fartcoin? I know I sound like a fucking broken record. That's because I am, but why not just pick the best asset? It's really not that complicated. Like literally, I've traded Fartcoin for the last 2 months now, probably, and it's just been an easy ride. You know, I'm not saying, well, all right, that's really unfair. It's not easy. It's never like easy, but it's much easier than if I'd chosen to flip-flop around all these different assets, right? It's been one of the best returning assets for the period. You know, structuring a trade in this, again, it's like you're basically just betting that this is the bottom of the range, but you haven't really got any confirmation in terms of sell-off, reclaim, relative strength, or anything like that. Like the XRP BTC chart, not particularly great, you know, sat at a low essentially. Like that's better in terms of, you know, we've swept this low essentially, but it's also an XRP BTC chart. It's not exactly price action, and price action obviously means more because you've actually got the real true sweep of liquidity, whereas XRP BTC is just a ratio. Okay, so yeah, I'm not going to do too much. States Bybit, I saw the Blowfin are good. I haven't used Blowfin, so can't recommend or you know, say no. I'll do Sui very quickly, and then I will run away. So Sui BTC looks like shite, but I'm probably going to say the same shit, right? Like, why are people like trying to long something that just isn't as good as everything else, right? Yeah, Sui looks decent. Like in terms of if you want to bag a Sui, you're fundamentally bullish on Sui, then it's not a bad place to grab a bag, right? Like structurally, high time frame looks pretty decent. Yeah, but we have had several attempts at these lows. It doesn't have relative strength, blah blah blah. You know, I can't get excited about it. I am kind of only excited about Fartcoin, which I understand. Good discipline trading one asset. Yeah, top 3 trading was really difficult, really difficult. Because there's so many rules, and you know, like top 3. It also depends. I think. So just to narrow it down to 3, I guess the first 3 that come to mind are, you know, never risk more than you can afford to lose, don't fucking touch leverage, and there are times to go hard and there are times not to. If you can understand those and you can balance your risk appetite, the amount you're trading and all that kind of stuff with that, then you'll probably end up pretty damn good. Shorting ETH isn't bad here, mate. You know, I don't want to short, what's it called, like Bitcoin or anything, but for me, like, yeah, that's not a structure I like. I like strong run up and then a low high. So that's the structure I like on shorts, or some kind of like divs, you know, like not necessarily that's a bit janky, but divs in general, like they give you a decent, invalidation. They show you structurally that something's going to happen, or at least, you know, the probability of something happening is you know, massively higher. But yeah, I think that's it. So I'm going to I wouldn't short this because you're also at, like, you're in the middle of this like consolidation. You know, if it does that and comes back in, absolutely play around with this like range high, like local range high. But here, nah. And also off the back of, you know, a pretty big bounce. Look what we've just got. Like, wild. Absolutely lovely rotation. Lovely rotation. Anyway, I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to go pick my daughter up from school, and then I'm going to go and get on a plane to New York. So if any of you are there, I will see you there, but you won't know it's me. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for the very sort of brief stream. I know we've actually got like nearly 100 people here, which is nice. I will not be streaming this week unless it's kind of late towards next weekend, but I will be then back to a normal schedule, normal routine schedule, and I will love you and leave you all and see you then. Equally, if you want to sign up to BonkBot, please check out the link that I boshed in, and I will bosh it again. They have some very cool stuff coming, and I will be doing some live streaming with their platform. So yeah, cannot wait. Genuinely cannot wait. It's going to be exciting, and we're going to hyper gamble. We are going to make or lose a lot of Solana together. Anyway, peace out, everyone. I will love you, leave you, and see you soon. Good trading.